Okay, thank you very much, Bobby. What we wanted to do is talk to you about RollStream. We've been all around the planet, actually, for the last 6 months, talking about RollStream to GXS customers and prospects. We may not have seen you, so today is a day where you get to meet RollStream, if not. And if you have already, you get to learn a bit more. And it's a great day in history. October the 11th was a day that Saturday Night Live debuted, apparently. I think Hillary and Bill got married today in history, so it could be a kind of a great day. And also, a blind person broke the land speed record, and Bruce released Born to Run. So October 11th is a great day. You heard about RollStream today, okay? So let's talk about community and the cloud. That's really what RollStream is all about. It's about connecting people to our ecosystems, our supply chain, our value chain, okay? So today I'm going to talk about 3 things, the McKinsey 3. Challenges that our customers and the world at large sees when they're working with big communities of people across their ecosystems. Then we'll talk about how the cloud changes everything. It allows people to access tools that they perhaps didn't know they could have today for less and get access to those quickly. And then we'll show you, actually, Kerry's going to walk you through some of the screenshots and some of the key features of this application, because some people like me have to see pictures, draw pictures on a whiteboard to be able to understand this and how it works. So we've got both flavors for you today. So first of all, let's just expand on what Steve was talking about earlier about communities. Communities straddle our entire business. And a community can be our suppliers, our vendors, our distributors. It could be, actually, ultimately, it could be machines and objects in our supply chain. I won't go there quite today because I don't want to stretch the imagination too far. But these communities have common things that make them challenging when we're working with people, not necessarily systems, okay? There's thousands of companies. For some of you, tens of thousands of companies. One of our customers, I believe, their broader business has something like 48,000 suppliers, 450 procurement executives. That's a big community right there, right? We've got another customer with 100,000 suppliers. Those are big communities. So tens of thousands of people are out there in these communities, and they all have different systems. They may have adopted some cool collaboration technology that we like to embrace, like Microsoft SharePoint or Box.net or something like that. But the reality is when they're working with each other, they have different systems. And they don't tend to have productivity tools that are purpose-made for working with their trading partners. They have Excel. I think Microsoft Office is probably the leading application for all of us in the supply chain in any situation. Unfortunately, it's not connected. It's not connected to one single entity in the cloud. So these are some of the challenges. Now, if I play those out more specifically to businesses that we see every day, here's some scenarios to point out. First of all, information about your community, your trading partners, changes on average every 8 seconds. Not my stat, that's probably Gartner or AMR Research before they bought them. And that's profound because master data or extended master data about your trading partners is changing every 8 seconds. How do I deal with that? We deal with it as best we can today. 8 or 9 departments in every business, in every one of your businesses here, depending on how big you are, is at least 8 or 9 are stakeholders of trading partner information. They need access to it. They need visibility to it. They need to be able to do something with it. Typically, they have their own system. They're very siloed. That's a big issue. Slowness in onboarding trading partners, a very big theme of RollStream from the early days, and it continues at GXS, is this ability to just onboard somebody. When I say onboarding, I really mean enable them. From the minute, say, somebody does a handshake with a customer or a supplier, to have them up and running in a system, all of their information captured, a profile about them, and start to trade with them. That's a big deal. If you're working with customers like suppliers of finished goods, you could be inhibiting your revenues for every single day that you're actually extending that time it takes to bring them on board. And then visibility and control have come in the last 4 or 5 years more than they ever have before. Risk. A lot of our customers are coming us today and asking us about supplier risk or just corporate social responsibility risk in the business. Not having visibility to that outside of our 4 walls. What our trading partners might be doing that causes us to maybe land on the front page of the newspaper, get fined, or even go out of business, or have our brand immeasurably interrupted. Our brand is now trashed because of risk. That's a big issue. We've got people talking to us about that every single day. And then productivity. So Productivity is an issue, period, outside the enterprise. Bobby says this a lot in his slides. We believe some of the biggest gains that can be made are outside the enterprise. So I used a slide in England about 2 weeks ago to point out why cloud solutions are really important right now. Can anyone guess why that might be and why this slide's relevant? And I had to change it for the US market because we might be facing, or we probably are facing, a double-dip recession. Okay? I'm amazed nobody shouted out from England that was there a couple of weeks ago. So cloud solutions are really important. Why people are embracing the cloud is because they get access to tools like we're going to show you today for a fraction of the cost and time it takes that traditional solutions were delivered. Okay? So you'll see that this low total cost of ownership, we can address things and budgets, particularly for procurement, which is always the Cinderella of a company and doesn't get the lion's share of IT budgets. They can get access to tools they never had before. And then I use this concept called instant gratification. I want it now. I want to start using it today. Okay? And that's different than what we're normally used to. When we get solutions today, or in the past, it's a bit like this slide I pulled from despair.com. We bring consultants in. If they're not part of the solution, there's good money to be made in prolonging the problem. And what that means is, by the time you figure out what the problem is, it's still getting prolonged, and you haven't built anything yet. Now, the thing about cloud-based solutions is they're available on day one. Yes, you have to configure them. There's some work to do. But we've got customers like West Marine that are up and running in 3 weeks. So we'd love to talk to you about what that means. That instant gratification is a big deal for some customers. So when we looked at RollStream in the early days, we said, what if we took these challenges to the cloud, if we all shared the same system, same view of things, and we could connect simply to the people in our supply chains. We could manage our extended master data from one place across that whole ecosystem. What if we could map, and people are using this term now, the social graph, all the people out there, so we can reach the right people. The CEO of the now defunct Circuit City said to me once, I don't know if I could send a holiday card to my suppliers, let alone manage risk, exceptions in orders, etc. That's a big issue to me. So we need to map the social graph of our supply chain to even be able to reach people. Then add process and governance. So once I've figured out all the companies, all the people, the things I'd like to do, can I actually govern that relationship in a much more holistic way than I have before? And then introduce these productivity tools, these tactical tools that help me roll things out, onboard people, manage a process, enable them, take risk out of the equation. These are things that we said, let's try and do this. The cloud lends itself perfectly for doing things like this, a single multi-tenant solution that allows us to all access the same hub and engage all of our trading partners in the same way. So that's where GXS RollStream was born, around this vision of uniting people in the supply chain, in the value chain, or amongst your clients and corporates if you're in the financial industry. Then we looked at a bigger challenge and an opportunity, and that was, look what's happening in the social media space around consumer social networking. And the big lesson that it taught us when we were looking at RollStream early on was, let's not create social networks of our suppliers. We don't want to do that. In fact, Gartner said to Kerry and I, suppliers aren't your friends. We're not going to share pictures of our cats with our suppliers. We've got real business to do, right? So we said, yeah, but let's look at social networks, not because of the idea of just social networking, but they're so easy to use. There's no training required. They're just so easy to use, right? So we said, what if we had a profile, just like you did, in a social network, and you could connect to your trading partners. Every trading partner has a profile about the company, the people, the items, the products, where they are, the conversations you've had, the last conversations you've ever had with them in the last 2 years, etc. Okay? What if you could connect to them securely in the cloud in a way that allowed you to either send them emails, bring them into a private portal, or extend your existing portal if you already have one? All in the cloud, right? So this idea of someone else is hosting this for me, I don't have to implement it, nobody needs to install anything on their PC or their Mac or whatever they have these days. We just go to a web browser and access RollStream. Mobile as it needs to be, and you'll see over time that this is growing massively, and people are becoming far more mobile with the legacy of Steve Jobs, I would say. And then simple, people want simplicity. So our biggest challenge was people are using spreadsheets, filling them out, sending them to trading partners, and they're coming back, and then multiply that by 1,000, 2,000, 48,000, 100,000. right? So how do we get them off of that? Because that's dangerous, but it's super simple to use. So let's create super simple collaboration tools that make sense. And that's really what we tried to do. So we learned a lot by looking at consumer social networks. You'll see later how we also start to bring in some of the unstructured collaboration around social networking into this. But RollStream is very much about structured collaboration to solve a specific business problem. Oh, I'm going backwards in time here. So we coined a phrase in 2005, we called it enterprise community management. It wasn't terribly original, but we wanted something that was familiar to people in the industry. It was actually not a good idea to use the word social in 2005 in the context of a business. It's amazing how far we've come in about 6 years. But now you see people just throwing it out there. Actually, in the UK, I still get slapped for mentioning the word social at certain customers. But what I do is I clarify that, and I talk about secure business social interactions. Okay? And enterprise community management is what that's all about. It's all about having an information profile about your trading partners, okay? And taking a life cycle approach. So at the very beginning of a relationship, if this, for example, is a trading partner like a supplier, you're going to be engaging people who help you to evaluate and pre-qualify their business and its suitability for working with them. Then you're going to want to onboard them very, very quickly and painlessly. You're going to want to go into information management of the relationship through its entire life cycle to govern what's happening and take risks out of it, okay? Now, the information profile is really the center of everything. I call it the atomic unit of collaboration. It allows you to essentially connect everything you do with that trading partner in the cloud in a single place. Some people call it a 360-degree view of your trading partner's information. So what you'll see as we go into RollStream and what it does is it really has this information profile as its core. And things over time, that's going to get even better and better and better. The profile actually will become a destination. And yes, there will be business social collaboration going on inside that profile, but it's actually there because we want everybody who has access or needs access to this trading partner profile can get to it securely and are able to see what they're allowed to see or what you decide to allow them to see. So let's talk about that same exact life cycle. We flattened it out here because we're going to use it as a theme now to talk about the solution itself. And you guys can see exactly what's in the box of tricks today. We'll talk about this at the very end, about what's coming and how we're integrating this with the GXS trading grid. And then Kerry will show you some screenshots, some real-life examples of how our customers use this today. But first of all, let me give you some basics. There's two basic models to the architecture of this solution at RollStream. First of all, the bottom gray box is what we call the base platform. Okay? RollStream base platform has a number of nice things in it. I use the analogy of the iPhone quite a bit when I'm introducing it to customers. Think of the base platform as the iPhone, has all these great features, and then there's applications we can drop on top of it that are optional, that customers may or may not want. Okay? Now, inside the base platform is what we call a profile directory. That information profile I've been talking about is really core to everything, so it sits right there. Once you've established that and the information that you want to keep today and maybe tomorrow about trading partners, then you can start to do things. The other thing we've created is a turnkey portal. So for those of you that haven't yet implemented a really nice collaborative trading partner extranet or portal environment, you can do that in a very turnkey way using RollStream and start adding to it. If you already have one, we enhance what you currently have. I call it a reversible jacket. It depends on which situation you fall into. Many of my customers have IBM WebSphere, they have SharePoint, they have Oracle Portal, but the things that they do aren't that collaborative, and so we juice it up. We empower them with more collaboration. But I've got smaller businesses that just don't have the budget to go buy those tools that use it as a portal. Then we see really where we started with RollStream, B2B projects, communications. I call it herding cats sometimes. There's a communication center right at the middle of this that allows you to engage an audience of either all or some of your trading partners. They have a specific goal or set of goals of things you'd like to achieve, whether you're onboarding them, readiness assessment, risk assessment, collecting product safety information, whatever it might be. That communication center allows you to reach out, to communicate, to engage, to educate, to collect information back using our web forms and surveys, and then to house that in the entire audit trail of your interaction. And of course, behind all of it is what we call our security and permissions and personalization around who's in your community, what are they allowed to see, what are they allowed to do, And is it read right? Do they even see the information profile? Can they even access it? If they can, which parts? We have a lot of control down to the very granular field level of what folks inside your business can see and do, and what your trading partners can see and do. Now, sitting on top of that are these three applications, and you'll see a theme emerging where we'll add to this over time, because we know about lots of things our customers want to do. Now, at the time we were bought by GXS, we had three applications that Kerry will walk you through today. One of them was called registration. This is a very, very popular application. It allows you to structure how you onboard trading partners and create that profile. And it's becoming more and more strategic as people are embedding risk management and corporate social responsibility questions as they register their trading partners. They're not just simply registering them to do business. They're registering them to take out risk, to evaluate them in the process, okay? Then you'll see our issue management tool, which is all about having a structured collaboration tool for engaging in things like price issues, shipping discrepancies, anything where you have an issue between you and a whole lot of trading partners, structuring that almost like a trouble ticketing system and moving things from open to pending resolution to resolved to closed and trending those. And being able to do that with a very simple collaboration tool that's punctuated using email, because that's what everyone uses. And finally, you'll see B2B workspaces, which is really our way of putting in some of that unstructured collaboration that people are now asking for, because they're beginning to accept this business social conversation that's happening. They're beginning to say, what if we could convene all of our trading partner teams around our top strategic 50 trading partners in a secure workspace? And when we're not on the phone, in person, in meetings, this is where we're meeting online. Asynchronously, i.e. this happened 10 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago I did this, somebody uploaded a scorecard, somebody did some corrective actions, having that in a private workspace, okay? So this is really how the solution is architected. And what we'll do now is, using the sort of flattened out life cycle here along the top, Kerry will just walk you through the actual solution itself and some screenshots that really talk to what these things actually are. Okay, Kerry? Do you want to join me on stage and I'll quickly, in transition. So while Kerry's getting set up, I'll just let you know that there's two ways that you'll experience RollStream. To begin with, you may or may not be a managed services customer. If you are managed services, you'll start to see us using the solution to implement your trading partner community, to onboard them, to help manage them, okay? If you're not a managed services customer, you might be interested in the self-service. I want a copy of RollStream myself. I want to use this to create my own community. Either way, you'll experience it. And over time, they may bleed into each other, because either way, you may just want to have a RollStream community of your own, okay?
I think there's a couple of customer, do you want to cover these?
Do you want to go for it?
The customer case studies?
Yeah, go for it.
These are examples of some of our customers. Nick knows them intimately, being the founder. I've worked with them closely over the last 3 years to actually build out the solution. I'm going to show you screenshots of it in a moment. But do you want to talk about Tesco and Owens & Minor?
Yeah, so Tesco was one of our very first customers, third largest retailer in the world. And these guys came because they had bought everything that Oracle owns, and they wanted to roll it out. And they had this massive community, and they said, how on earth are we going to reach all these people at these trading partners? So we helped them roll out Oracle, and literally using our B2B communications center, that's what they did. Now, at the end of it, they came back and said, we've got this big community now. We don't just want to end this. This is great. Could you actually put some workflow in there, so every time we bring in a new trading partner, you could register them? We said, absolutely. In fact, we could integrate that with your Oracle system. So at the end of it, we'll capture everything you need, and we'll hand it off to your Oracle system. And that was a big deal to them. They actually accelerated the time it took to register suppliers. This is goods and services not for resale, by about 60% overall. And Owens & Minor, Kerry and I work on together quite frequently. It was probably our biggest customer before GXS acquired us. And they just said, we don't have a supplier portal. We don't have a central single view of supplier information. And we've got lots of issues around shipping discrepancies, wrong orders, and things like that. Help us out. And so we rolled out the information profile. So finally, instead of taking 3 weeks to find information, it takes 3 days or 3 seconds. We rolled out registration to accelerate new suppliers and new trading partners coming on board. And then Kerry then started to roll out issue management that allows them now to manage discrepancies around shipping into about 70 distribution centers. And for them, just that project around issue management of shipping discrepancies saves $2 million a year of overpayments they were making before. So that justified far more than their investment in RollStream, in addition to the other areas. And I'll let you talk about this last one, which is near and dear to your heart.
So the last one is a large global biopharma company that may or may not be in the area, and they selected RollStream, for similar reasons to actually help do information management. But the biggest driver, so they've been using RollStream for a really long time. They actually last year came to us and said, we need a better way of actually registering or onboarding our vendors. We need a way to do it so that the right people inside our organization are able to review and approve that information. And so they turned to our registration solution. But the great thing about it, at least so they've told us, is that they can actually ensure that before a new vendor gets registered, that they actually meet the responsible procurement best practices that the global company to which they belong to practices. So that's just an example of some of the customers. So let's take a dive into the solution now. Before I show you a screenshot, do you guys remember the first time you saw an iPhone? It was new, right? It was something new and exciting, and you couldn't wait to put it down, right? It was just a different way in which you worked. And we hope that when you see the screenshots, and at least this is what our customers tell us, when you see RollStream, it's a different way than you've seen probably this morning or that you've interacted with your training partners before. Just by a show of hands, just to make sure you guys are still paying attention, how many people interact with your trading partners, whether they be upstream suppliers or downstream, via fax, phone, and email today? Yeah, so like the majority of the room. So what you're about to see is totally different than that. You're actually going to see RollStream, which allows you to interact with your trading partners using the web. I know, crazy as that may seem. And better yet, as Nick pointed out, it's actually using the web 2.0 technologies or the social networking principles that are so, as Nick likes to say, stupidly simple to use. So where does it start? How do you identify a trading partner that you want to do business with? Well, you could use a pre-qualification online form to actually collect some basic information. Maybe it's you want to collect their risk profile, so their Dun & Bradstreet information, or you just want to know who they are. So that who kicks off the process in your organization? It might be procurement that says, okay, this is a new trading partner we want to work with, or it might be sales, or maybe it's the customer themselves saying, hey, we'd really like to be a partner of yours. Well, they can go to an online form to actually fill out the information. Then there is a whole workflow behind the scenes where that online registration form actually comes inside to your organization and you're able to review and approve the information. Just by a show of hands in the back, are you guys seeing this all right? Yeah, okay, great. So this is just an example. All of this information is completely customizable to you and your organization. All of this data, so each one of these fields, we like to call them custom fields, you guys decide what's the key information you need to capture in the pre-qualification stage before you actually even get to transacting with them from an EDI perspective. So we took the best practices of over 200 customers. It's not a completely step-by-step customizable workflow. What is customizable is the information that you collect. But this is the best practice, and to be honest, 85% of customers that need to register or bring on board a new trading partner go through this process where they say, okay, we have a perspective. Let's send out an email to that prospective trading partner, get them to fill out the information, and then we want to review them and qualify them to make sure that they are truly somebody we want to do business with before we even get to determining EDI transactions with them. Do you want to add anything there?
No, you're good. That's
okay.
Great.
So here's an example of the actual registration request where the company was interested in collecting insurance and risk information up front. And actually, the trading partner has to upload a document of their insurance coverage to prove that they are, in fact, somebody who meets the requirement. You have required fields, so if this trading partner didn't have insurance coverage, well, you know what? We shouldn't be doing business with them. So this is just an example of the registration request. You can see there's very colorful buttons at the top so that you can review or approve or decline that request, really depending on the type of information. You can also use, there's a search tool, so maybe you've already registered them or one division in your large global organization already has them, and so you're not registering them again. There's also a dashboard, so you guys have real-time visibility into where the bottlenecks are. More often than not, bottlenecks are with the trading partner themselves and their I guess, speed or lack thereof to actually fill out the online form. But sometimes it's actually inside the organization. And when we first started using this application with Owens & Minor, it turned out that or was it Tesco? They actually had bottlenecks inside their procurement organization, and they were able to use the dashboard to basically iron out where those bottlenecks are. And did you say this already? But Tesco went from registering folks, what was it, it took them 60 or 90 days to register people using a manual paper-based process to using this online process. They're down to what, 12 days?
Yeah, I think 7 at best, and maybe 17 on average. And a lot of that is the negotiation that you really can't take out because it's going on between buyers and sales folks, so procurement, et cetera. Yeah.
So the fact that you're seeing your requests online really helps you from a productivity standpoint. So what does it look like inside your organization? You can see here, these are a list of registration, incoming, inbound registration requests. They can be routed to different, if you're in a procurement group, different buyers or different categories based on the type of information that came in. So, if you're Tesco, for example, they want apparel to go to one group and electronics to go to another group in the pre-qualification stage. Then in the final approval stage, they actually have it also go to different folks, whether it be risk and compliance first and then legal and regulatory second. They can decide kind of who they want the request to go to before they actually ultimately become a trading partner. So Steve mentioned earlier during the roadmap, imagine this part. So this is all the informational level part. We actually are using this inside GXS to help with the onboarding and enablement. So if you're a managed services customer and you're trying to bring on a new trading partner, you need to collect their EDI or transactional level information. This easily could be part of this registration request. It doesn't just have to be about insurance and risk. It could also be about EDI. In other words, if somebody that you're trading with doesn't support AS2, for example, well, maybe you want them to before you actually get through the registration process. So this is just an example of you inside your organization actually approving the request. The great thing about RollStream, or I think it's the great thing about RollStream, is that once the request is finally approved, they actually become part of what we like to call the digital filing cabinet or digital directory. So you can then actually interact with them on some of the things I'm going to show you next. Did you want to add anything, or are we good?
No, a couple of things I would add is just this registration creates the profile I talked about earlier on. So and that's critical, is your profile is the center of everything, right? So what Kerry has on the screen now is, we call it the digital filing cabinet. That is the end result of a registration. It's the profile of a trading partner. Now, the other thing I'd point out is that it's not just about suppliers, manufacturers, et cetera. We have financial services businesses using registration to register merchants for online, to go from being paid by check to being paid electronically. And the process that they go through is a registration of a kind for agreeing to be paid electronically instead of by check. So it's really important to think about registration as a core process in the business, and that's what we're really enabling. And the last point on registration that's really got to come home for you guys is that swim lane diagram that Kerry showed you. That's the product, and we can configure it in a conference room. There's no coding that goes on. So if you talk to customers that have implemented this, we sit in a conference room, we think about as is and to be process, and we implement it together in a conference room. And we support you all the way through, but it's a sea change because we don't go away and code anything. We can model it with you in a very, very short space of time.
So the examples I showed you earlier in terms of registering were really around the company itself, but equally as important to a company are the contacts. Those are the people. So what you're seeing here is a profile isn't just about the company. It's actually the people you interact with at that company, whether it be, again, the EDI contact, the legal contact, the customer support, the product manager, whoever it is also given a profile, if you will. In the bottom right-hand side, hopefully you guys can see it, that's actually an example of a person's profile. So you can see it looks very familiar to you. It looks like a Facebook or a LinkedIn profile. Some people load pictures. I don't think anybody loads cats the way Gartner predicted. But it's not just about the company. Again, it's about the people as well. And then similarly, Nick mentioned items. If we're not trying to be a catalog. GXS already has a catalog solution. Where items come into play, and a great example of it is if you need to collect product safety certificates, like as in the case of CPSIA, RollStream is an excellent place to put a PDF which includes a product safety certificate. And again, it's lightweight product information, but again, you need to tie the company with the people with the product all together, and you can do that inside RollStream. And so what you're seeing here is an example of your entire company directory. So these are all your trading partners. Again, trading partners or your community can be suppliers, distributors, customers. Really, it's up to you. It can be all of them in one, and you interact with them and use groups to segment them in different ways. But this is what information management and community management is all about. All of the companies are fully searchable or indexable through our advanced search capabilities or simple search capabilities. You have the opportunity to use groups to segment them out into whether it's the different capabilities they provide you or however you work with them. Maybe you want to put your top 25 strategic trading partners in a group because you're going to then collaborate and communicate with them on a regular basis. In addition to the directory, we have the capability of alerting you. People love this because when something changes, so again, the idea behind this isn't that you're entering the information, and maybe I didn't make that clear enough, it's that the trading partner is entering their own information for you. So let's say they decide that they need to, or you send out a communication where you need them to update information, for example, a CPSIA certificate. Well, you want to get alerted when that certificate is then available. You can actually use RollStream's alerting capability to do that. And what that'll do is send an email to you or to whomever in your organization that you choose to get that email so that you can then take action on it. Or maybe you just need to review it. Would you want to add anything on the alerting?
The other thing in the same topic with this is I get a lot of customers come and say, I've got all these time-sensitive documents that expire out there in my community. A classic one is insurance. And certificates of quality and things like that. And when they expire, it's not my job to go manage that, it's the trading partners. But guess what? They don't do it. So it lands back on my doorstep. We had a customer like Lockheed Martin came to us and said, we have these 400-page contracts with our suppliers. And all the way peppered through there are these things that suppliers are supposed to do, but they don't. And it's their responsibility to, but then it always comes back to us. So these alerts allow you to have that exception-based a notification going on that tells them it's time to update something, invites them simply via email to upload the new certificate of insurance. Otherwise, you have to stop doing business with them.
Great. Nick mentioned this earlier, but basically, if you don't already have a portal available, RollStream can also serve as that. There's the ability to customize the application, at least the home page, so that you can invite your trading partners into this portal and maybe they download a handbook or whatever kind of information you want. Now, if you already have one, obviously we can interface into that. But the idea is you don't have to invite them into the application, but it's there if you want them to. As Nick mentioned, email is the primary way in which we actually communicate and collaborate with trading partners to get them to accomplish things. And you'll see an example of that in a second. Did you want to add anything there? Okay, good. All of the information is completely secure, and I think that's what we do better than any of the social networking tools can ever try and accomplish, is because we were built from the ground up to focus on B2B. So all of the information that we, any of those tabs on the profile that you add can be configured so that permissions are enabled. So you can decide who in the organization, whether it's in your side or on the trading partner side, can see what information. You don't want financial information to end up in the wrong hands, and so you can actually secure that information through our pretty in-depth community level permissions. So now that you have information management or your base layer, so you've got all your trading partners in there, whether you use the registration component to review and approve the information, or you actually can import the data through, if you have all of your trading partner information in an Excel spreadsheet, or if your master data is SAP or Oracle, for example, we have the open API that Nick mentioned. You can actually pull the information in that way. But again, RollStream becomes that face for you with your trading partners. Once you have the information management layer in piece, well, now you need to do something with your trading partners, right? You want to actually communicate and collaborate with them. It's not just enough to have another directory with this information. you want to do something. So the first thing that we like to focus on is projects and communications. And this is really the driver for why people select RollStream. But then as they evolve in terms of using us more and more over time, they'll use us for issue management and more of the ad hoc B2B workspaces. So let's take a look at some projects and activities. So just like the profile is the center of the universe for all that we do, what you can now use is projects and activities to engage trading partners in things like surveys, or if you need to share basic information out to them, you can use the activities. And the activity example that's up on your screen right now is a great example. It's actually a B2B onboarding project. So you have a new EDI transaction that you want all of your trading partners to now subscribe to. Well, you first have to educate them about it. But even before that, let's make sure that they actually verify that their information is correct. Maybe that EDI contact that was there yesterday is no longer there today. So the first thing you'll do is send out an email to verify their contact information. Then you'll walk them through. This could be a PDF. It could be a link to a video. It really doesn't matter. It's the actual training or education of that trading partner about how you want them to transact with you. Hopefully you guys are seeing the visibility here. So the directory gives you the information. Here's where you're actually holding that trading partner accountable to a particular activity. If you want to make sure that they've done something and done something on time, you can see here through the actual activities, like 14 companies were assigned, 9 completed it. Okay, I got 64%. Well, there's actually an automatic reminder, and I think I show that in a second, where you can encourage the laggards to actually complete the activity. But instead of running around using your individual emails and your spreadsheet to track this information, now you've got it all in one place, and you can decide who in your organization can see this. Again, this is just to be clear, this would be your view as a community owner into the activity. Do you want to add anything?
Another thing to point out, just before we move on from this slide, is you could use this exact same activity center for very, very trivial projects, but also very, very meaty projects. So I've got customers on one end that will organize their annual golf outing, their vendor summit, their customer summits, right? And fill in the cracks. Then on the other side, you've got people doing a very broad inventory of product safety and risk. Or as Kerry's pointing out, B2B rollouts, right? So we've architected our project and activity center to be very, very simple to engage in any one of those type of activities. Or it could be, for example, merger and acquisition, where you've got all of a sudden thousands of new trading partners or customers that you're dealing with, and you need to quickly integrate them within your business offering to get that synergy and keep things rolling.
Yeah, I mean, there's no structure to this. You guys decide, who you want to have access, and you go ahead and actually, I think the next couple of slides show you how you would create, in this case, a survey, where you could actually capture the information back from the trading partner, and then you'll see in a second the actual email. There's an online email editor, which I think, yeah, here it is. There's an online email editor where you actually create the message template that you want to send out to your trading partner. The funny thing is, more often than not, it's not that it's hard to create that takes a while. It's actually the review and approval process within the organization before the email actually goes out by legal or marketing or whoever, before these get launched through all of our customers. But you can see here, you pick and choose who this should go to. Just the way you could I mentioned earlier, you can segment out your communities. You can also segment out the people. So if you only want this communication to go to, let's say, the EDI contacts, or in the case Nick cited, the product safety contacts or the compliance contacts, it's very easy to do that. You can see in the background a little bit, it's easy to automatically remind the people. All it does is take a copy of the original email and send a reminder out to the people who haven't completed the activity. It's really simple.
Something to add here as well that's helpful to think about, because it has to be believable. A lot of folks, when they first talk about this, say, well, if I send an email to all my trading partners, I'll probably get about 35% bounce backs. I don't even know if I'm going to reach them, right? So I don't care if I've got some cool fancy tool that's going to help me just not reach people faster, right? So what we do a lot, what you'll see is you talk to the RollStream crew within the business, and they're getting soaked into the professional services team here at GXS, is we actually take a holistic view of community management. We'll stand up the community. We'll actually physically go call and validate the contact info of your trading partners. Ahold, the giant Peapod supermarket chain, we called 5,700 suppliers. We validated the contact info of the customer services person, and they were expecting an email where they would tell us the rest of the social graph inside their business, right? So we take the whole problem, not just the technology, so that when you send that out, you bounce back to minimal, and we can jump all over those, and we keep the community going. Now, people don't tell people they left companies, right? So there's 8 to 15% of your community will decay in a way that only people on the phone can gather, okay? And the beauty of GXS is the managed services proposition is we can take care of that problem as well. We've got people that can pick up the phone, extremely low cost, and can fill in the gaps where systems always fail.
Great. So Nick likes to say, herding cats with visibility is great, but if you don't have if you don't have visibility, what point is there? So the fact that you can remind pending, and here's an example. This is how easy it is. You can see person by person, company by company, who has and has not responded to a given activity, and you just click that reminding button. It's as simple as that, and it automatically creates that copy of the email that originally went out.
And you have to remind people 4 times. So.
Yeah.
4 reminders will get you to maybe
what,
60%?
Yeah,
60% at best,
yep.
right? So you have to be resolute because nobody empowers us. We're here selling these emails out, right? So a lot of our customers, we're like a shrink. We say, send it again. Send it a 5th time, right? Because otherwise you won't get to that magic moment. And adoption needs to be as close to 100% as possible. This is business, right? We're not doing a marketing survey. We want every single supplier to give us their product safety certificates. Right? So that's why this is critical.
So not only can you see, this is just showing you a different view of that same information. So not only can you see it across all of your trading partners, you can see it on an individual trading partner by trading partner basis. So what you're looking at here is actually AAA Manufacturing, all of the forms that they actually filled out, and then the actual person there, the screenshot in the bottom right-hand corner is actually an individual person who filled out what. And you can, if you click on any one of those, you can see the actual answers that they submitted. You also have the option to export the results. So if other people in your organization don't have access to RollStream, I don't know why they wouldn't, but there might be a good reason for that. You can export the results in an XLS or CVS format to share the results from any web form as well. So not only can you engage with your trading partners about key compliance initiatives from a company perspective, one of the biggest drivers, and we mentioned this earlier, is around items. You can actually collect product safety certificates, for example, and that's as simple as uploading a PDF or a Word doc right into the item profile. Just the way the company and the contact information is all customizable, so too is the items. These are all custom fields. So depending on the type of item information that you need to capture at the people layer, RollStream can help with that. So I showed you registration. I showed you the base RollStream application. Nick mentioned the issue management application that sits on top. And again, you can't do anything unless you have a directory in place. Here's an example of our issue management application where you need to communicate and collaborate with trading partners on a multi-party dispute. So imagine if a shipping discrepancy was uncovered inside of the trading grid, and you actually needed to communicate and collaborate to resolve that issue. It happens with people, right? It doesn't automatically get resolved in the trading grid usually. It's usually somebody has to get involved to resolve it. So imagine if you took that structured data that you got from the trading grid and you were able to actually collaborate using, in the bottom hand corner, you can see an actual online conversation. So if you can't see it, imagine your Facebook wall where you're having a dialogue back and forth with your friends. But in this case, it's not your friends, it's your trading partners, and you're having a dialogue about the shipping discrepancy. And there's a workflow behind this, so you can actually move the shipping discrepancy from open to resolved. And this is the Owens & Minor example that Nick mentioned earlier. Similar to registration, you have visibility into how long it's taking you to resolve these types of issues. But the idea is, again, you bring people into the mix and they can upload documents to show that, you know what, we actually did ship this and here's proof. So those are all examples of structured collaboration. For folks who want to do more ad hoc collaboration, there's this notion of B2B workspaces. And the example that you're seeing here is an example of where you need to share with a supplier, for example, a performance scorecard. Well, you've given them the scorecard, but how do you actually correct the behavior? You need a tool to do that. You guys maybe you're not even sharing this information. A lot of people don't, or they're working towards this. But imagine if you could put the scorecard inside of a workspace and actually upload a video that shows them how they can actually improve their performance, perhaps on manufacturing best practices. So that's what this is showing. You pick and choose from your trading partner community who you would want to put in a workspace. More often than not, people are using one workspace per one trading partner, but there's no reason, depending on the use case, why you couldn't actually put more than one trading partner in here. Do you want to add anything there?
No, I think that's perfect. The main thing to think about here is the profile I talked about earlier will become a destination. So it's not just where you keep information about your trading partner, but it's a place where you engage them, okay? So offline, when you're not on the phone, in person, you go to the profile, and there's the conversation or conversations that you're having. If it's about performance, if it's about corrective actions in B2B, if it's about corrective actions in quality, if it's about a brand new client that you're bringing into the business and you don't know what accounts that they have and what services they have, the profile should be a destination, and that's kind of where it's going. You'll see a glimpse here into the direction of the longer term picture. And it could also be as you're looking at and evaluating them. So Kerry's got another example here.
Yeah, this is just an example of using the profile and using workspaces together to do some kind of social sourcing. So maybe there's a new product that your vendor is bringing to market. Well, why not collaborate on the product specs and the ideas and do that inside of a workspace rather than having series of in-person meetings. Maybe you can't travel anymore for budgetary reasons. You could do it inside of a workspace to actually source either new or go towards to your existing vendors for new product ideas.
It's like a visual resume, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of folks go to conferences like this, meet trading partners or prospective, and what if you could send them to a place where they could just pimp their profile, right? Like we used to do on MySpace before Facebook took over, right? And if you give them a place that's structured where they can engage you in a way that says, you're not doing business with me here, look what we're doing, here's some product videos, here's some materials, here's some learning, or here's a way, if I'm a distributor, to share my products about suppliers better, educate my sales force, right? So we're seeing our customers come to us and bring ideas to us because it's a very unstructured collaboration space.
So that's all we had, but hopefully you guys got a really good glimpse. All of the presentations I know are going to be shared afterwards, so if you weren't able to see everything, you'll have a copy of the deck afterwards. But hopefully you got a really good sense for just some of the ways in which you can communicate and collaborate with your trading partners. Really the possibilities are endless. I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Sure. No, so thank you very much, everybody. We know we're right up against the time, so we'll be hanging around here for questions and things. Bit of levity at the end there. I talked about the double-dip recession. Well, we think that's quite possible. So some of you that are putting off projects or want to do some of this stuff today, come and talk to us, or talk to a customer manager or a sales exec at GXS, and then take the plunge right into the cloud, because that's what you're going to have to do to stay in touch with the competition these days. And we've got so many businesses that are already doing this. There were 60 companies already engaged with RollStream before we were acquired. It's just grown massively in just the 6 months at GXS. So you won't be the first, and nobody wants to be the first. So thank you very much.